morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. In the month of Tevet, we're learning Leilui Nishmas Levi ben Yosef and Leilui Nishmas Bas Yafega Bas Yisrael. And this week is sponsored by the Finns for the Refuah Shlema for David Netanel ben Ayala Ahuva. Okay, here we have pages here. We have a very simple shiur today. A not complicated shiur at all. And in the past, when I say that, it becomes the most complicated shiur, but today I really check. Yeah? Okay? In the past, when I've said it hasn't been so true, but today, be'emet, mashu me'od kal. This is something very easy, Bezrat Hashem, for us to be plugged into. And tremendous chizuk for Neshot Am Yisrael, for the mothers, for the daughters, for the sisters of Am Yisrael. This is from the Biala Rebbe Sefer, Mevaser Tov Malas Tfilas Nashim, on Daf Kuf Ayin Hey. So it's a little bit of Akdama. It's one page, but double-sided. Just one page double-sided. So, a question that quite often I get asked, and even from people, actually not in this room right now, but people that come and learn with the shiur, is that there's such a hoda'ah, there's such a gratitude to Hashem once life kicks in and you're a mommy, you're a mother, you're busy, one kid, two kids, doesn't matter. But life gets very consuming with very important things. And there's a sense inside that there's a little bit of not chalila charata, but more a sense of, but Ribono Shel Olam, it's very hard for me that I don't have the ability to daven like I used to daven before I had children. Now that's something that's come up many times. I don't have the time, I don't have the setting, and I definitely don't have the headspace to be able to daven the way that I want to daven, the way that I used to daven. So too with learning as well. And that's true for every stage in life when life is what it is, a lot of different things to take care of. You know, I wish men would have the same problem, that they would feel the same thing. But they're just a more on robotic energy. So they get up to go to shul daven because that's what they have to do. But I wish they would also say, man, I wish I could still daven like a bacher when I was just in oros and feeling so high and no problems, no real issues. It's a ke'ev, it's a real interesting apparent pain that quite often I hear from different people. And there's many, and here, Baruch Hashem, I'm very, very happy and proud that, Baruch Hashem, I see plenty of women that are coming on a daily basis to minyan, which is, to me, just, it's really incredible. And it's very rare, but it's very beautiful and it's very, very inspiring as well. But what we're going to be addressing today in the shiur is what does it mean to really daven to Hashem if we really boil things down to it, if we really crack things down to it. When you say, I wish I could daven like I used to daven, what are you actually talking about? What are you referring to? So that's why I think that, like we said in the beginning, a very smooth, easy approach to addressing this issue of when I don't have all the time like I used to have to daven, how do I fill in that place in me? How do I fill in that gap? How do I fill in that hole? But it demands of me to re-examine what davening even means, what it really looks like. What is it supposed to look like? I always wondered, when I talk about the avot and the imaot, let's go to Yitzchak and Rivka. You know, Yitzchak and Rivka, that famous scene in the beginning of Parshat Toldot, where each one of them is in the corner of a room, and it says Yitzchak was davening, and Rivka was davening. What sefer do you think they pulled off the shelf to daven to Hashem to have a kid? What kapitel Tehillim do you think Rivka chose? And what chapter of Tehillim do you think Yitzchak chose, right? What do you think? So obviously, can we say that the avos and imos didn't daven? How did they daven? They davened like it's no one's business. And that's a lost art that needs to be reclaimed again. And we're going to, Be'ezrat Hashem, delve into that. So נשים מטורדות בגידול ילדיהן. והנה לפעמים היצר הרע מונע את נשות ישראל מתפילה, משום שהן עמלות וטרודות מאוד בגידול הילדים בצורכי הבית, ובייחוד נשים צדקניות שבדורנו, העוסקות בעבודה לפרנסה הבית, כדי לתת לבעל ולילדים אפשרות לעסוק בתורה, ונשאר להם רק מעט זמן לצורכי הבית, ואין להם שום פנאי להתפלל את כל התפילה כסדרה, מהחל ועד כלה. So, two things are going on here. Remember the world that he's addressing, the Biala Rebbe. We always have to remember this in this shiur. He's addressing a world of women that quite often, and it's not for us to make an opinion about it, I don't want to go into that at all, but quite often the seder in the house is, the woman really does more or less everything, and even has a side job in order to enable the husband to sit and learn in kollel all day and for the kids to learn in Talmud Torah. And that's a shita, that's a way of life of hundreds of thousands of people. And there's a big erech to it. We don't live in that world so much. So when we speak about it, it seems like, are you kidding me? But I don't want to go into that. That's bichlal not our parsha. But the point of this is saying, what a lemaisa. A woman that wants to be able to daven from beginning to end. Let's just say Shabbos, okay? Let's just say Shabbos. But the kid, after 10 minutes, had enough of groups. It's happened. It's happened after 5 minutes, they've had enough of groups. And it's happened, and then one of the other kids or whatever is coming, Mommy, I need this, whatever. A woman that wants to be able to fully daven and it just doesn't work for her. It doesn't mesh out for her. It doesn't become her metziut. That's a thing that he's saying needs to be addressed, which already I see is something very beautiful. Are there enough pages at the end of it? You have, okay, good. Which is already a beautiful metziut that there's even a ratzon. Because you could easily, and you tell me how you feel about this. If I came out and said, I'm a Rav, I'm giving you all, not just a p'tor, which you don't need me to give you a p'tor, you have Chazal to give you a p'tor from the davening, but I'm even paskening. None of you should even try to daven, because it'll just mess you up and make you feel bad. And trust me, that by just saying Birkas HaShachar, you'll be yotzei everything with even more kavana than a man could do in 5 hours in a shul. How would you feel? Besides wanting to throw a chair at my face. Baruch Hashem, that no one's looking for that. That's my point. That's a beautiful thing. No one's looking. No, I've never gotten a question like that. I have gotten questions of saying, listen, between Shacharis, Mincha, and Mariv, which one should I daven? So we all know that's become pretty widespread. I don't know if you know this, but which tefillah do have women more or less taken on during the week? Mincha. Yeah, Mincha. Obviously it's the, Mincha's the shortest, and Mincha has become something that many women have taken on. But there's a ratzon for more. What a beautiful thing. And this is what he's addressing, and this is what we're going to be addressing as well. But a woman that has so much of a ratzon, and it seems that she doesn't have the ability, it can cause this inner stress inside, which we're going to be dealing with today. והן אומרות לעצמם, הרי אנו, second paragraph, הרי אנו עתה מלאות טרחה, we're so busy, ועסוקות בדברים הטורדים את המוח והלב, and we're busy with things that take a lot of time, both from mind and heart. ובזמן שנתפנה לגמרי, when we finally finish packing that last lunch, or throwing in that last load, or making that, whatever it is, or finally finishing checking every single person's update on WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, when I finish all those things that I have to do, כביכול, so to speak, בזמן שנתפנה לגמרי, לא יהיו לנו טרדות, ונהיה במנוחת הנפש, בישהו בדס, אז נוכל להתפלל. And that's true for everybody. We always have this thing of saying, when I get through that shlav in life, then I'll have the Yishuv Adat and the Menuchas HaNefesh to be able to daven. I don't know anyone that's ever reached that shlav in life. That's imaginary shlav in life that says, when I get through that shlav, when I'm done with dealing with that, then I'll have the time. That whole notion of then I'll have the time, it never really happens in many areas in life. I have a good friend, Baruch Hashem, a Matzliach businessman. When I met him, he was 27, 28, killing it. And he's still killing it. Now he's not, I'm not going to tell you how old he is because I don't want you to start to figure out who he is, but it's much later in life. And I had a conversation with him over Hanukkah, and I said, when I met you, you said that your goal is to make enough money that by the time that you're 35, you never have to work again. You could sit and retire and sit and learn. He's plenty of years after 35, and Baruch Hashem, he's still Matzliach, and the retirement didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because that place that's called when I get there doesn't usually ever arrive. Kimat ever. Kimat ever. Sometimes you have certain people that are very disciplined. I don't know many people like this, but sometimes very disciplined, and they're like, okay, once I finish this shlav in my life, then I will dedicate it fully to... Sometimes you meet people like this, and it's very inspiring. But in general, to wait for a time in life where you imagine that you'll be done with what you're busy doing now, and then you'll have Yishuv Hadat and Menuchas HaNefesh, rarely appears. Rarely comes. And I don't mean to be a downer, chas v'shalom. I'm just saying, life is life, and things are constantly popping up. Things that we're unaware of are popping up. It is what it is. This is how our lives are structured. Whether you have kids or don't have kids, it's nothing to do with it. Life, just bichlal, life. Az nuchal litpalel. Then we'll be able to daven. V'yesh lein ladat. So the Rebbe is addressing something and saying, you have to understand this and know this deep in your heart. She'ikar tefillah, what davening is really about, hi hadibur im Hashem yitbarach bisfat halev. Real davening is really about talking to Hashem with the language of the heart. Ki kol dibur she'adam medaber besicha be'alma im Hashem yitbarach po'el b'shamayim. This is amazing. Did you ever, while you're driving, or while you're, honestly, I'm going to say very mundane things, while you're doing your nails, while you're, I don't know, shopping, did you ever start talking to Hashem while you're doing one of these things? Just right?
I asked Hashem to help me get onto the Harvard.
Sorry?
I asked Hashem to help me get onto a Harvard when I was...
Before Waze.
In Chesla Aretz. I was never the driver. My husband, Rav Shlomo, was sick. And I said, Hashem, and he said, what'd you say, honey? I said, no, I was just talking to Hashem. And I didn't realize I was doing it until he pointed it out to me. I said,
that's amazing.
Because I was never the driver.
That's beautiful. This is pre-Waze days. Yeah, a few years before Waze, right.
Whatever, I'm okay.
No, it's okay. We're not going to go into dates right now. Just regular, just that one pniya, oh Hashem. Now, usually, let's be honest, oh Hashem is usually oh Hashem. It's never like your days, you're having a nice day, things are working out, it's beautiful, wow, Hashem. That's more rare than Hashem, right? But it doesn't matter. Any pniya to Hashem, that's on any level. The Rebbe is saying over here, why isn't that davening? Why isn't that considered davening? Who said that's not davening? Because you're not in shul, because you're not in the minyan, because you're not davening out of a siddur, and we have to stop thinking like that. And I think we are. Baruch Hashem, and it's got to get stronger and stronger. So again, ויש להם לדעת שעיקר התפילה היא הדיבור עם השם יתברך בשפת הלב. כי כל דיבור שאדם מדבר בשיחה בעלמא עם השם יתברך פועל בשמיים. Any conversation, any word that you happen to speak with Hashem about, פועל בשמיים, it does something in שמיים. ואפילו מה שמדברים על השם יתברך תוך כדי שיחה עם הזולת נחשב תפילה. And I don't know if this happened to you, but even while you're having a conversation with someone and you start talking to Hashem, while you're talking to the person, that's also po'el b'shamayim. That does big things in shamayim. Meaning, sometimes there's two things, two possibilities here. One is that you may sound and look a little bit delusional while you're talking to someone, and then so we went to there for Shabbos. It was really nice, Ribbon Shalom. I really could, that's pretty bizarre, but that could happen. But the greatest example of talking to someone while you realize that you're always talking to Hashem is from this parsha. Why? What's the second word of the parsha? Come on, what's the second word of our parsha? What's the second word?
Elav.
Elav. Vayigash elav Yehuda. All the Mefarshim are asking, why doesn't the pasuk say Vayigash Yehuda el Yosef? That's what happened. The Zohar HaKodesh explains to us that it was crystal clear. That omnam, it's true, Yehuda had to approach this person that was in front of him. To Yehuda it was clear, this person is a shaliach from Shemayim. So therefore, Vayigash elav Yehuda. And Yehuda, when you hear him speaking, he's mamish doing vidui before Ribbon Shalom. And he's giving over the whole life story. So Yehuda is the greatest example of, in our lives, when we're with people, and we realize that every person is a shaliach, is a shlucha. So I could talk to someone with the consciousness of, I'm speaking to the Ribbon Shalom right now. Not that I'm making them God, you understand? It's not the point. But that the conversation that's coming about is one that leads me to realize I'm standing before Hashem right now. And our parsha is the greatest example for it. This word, elav. Vayigash elav Yehuda. Vayom, and then just to continue with that vort, Vayomer, and then he says, Bi Adoni. Which in Chassidus they explain that Yehuda opens up his plea to Hashem, and he starts off by saying, listen, you're in me. There's a piece of you that's in me. So have Rachmanis on yourself. Bi Adoni. It's Gewalt, right? In me is you, Hashem. So have Rachmanis. Have Rachmanis on the piece of you that's inside of me. So this came about because the Rebbe said here, even when you speak to people, but it's a Hashem consciousness in the room, that's davening. That's considered tefillah. Kamuva b'Sefer Chelkas Yeshua, like it's brought down in the Sefer. Chelkas Yeshua is the father of the Rebbe that we're learning from. Kmo she'ita b'Shem HaRebbe Reb Naftali miRopshitz, from the Ropshitzer Rebbe. Kol siach tatshe v'toshia. There's a pasuk that says every plant shall sprout forth and bring salvation. But we also know that the word siach means sicha, conversation. Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh. Lasicha means to have a conversation. So the Rebbe writes over here, Kol siach tatshe v'toshia. Every single blade of grass, / every conversation, every word that's uttered will sprout forth, tatshe, milashon deshe, will bring about a growth of something. V'toshia. כי אם האדם זוכה אז פועל בלא תפילה, אלא מדבר דברים בעלמא בינו לבין חברו. We're not talking about shul. We're talking about a mundane conversation. וזהו שכתוב כל שיח תתשה ותושיע. אפילו שיחה בעלמא כדרך בני אדם, עושה פירות ותתשה ותושיע לנו ברוחניוס ובגשמיוס. By Chassidim, a very, very holy and important inyan is a farbrengen. Now what's a farbrengen? Is it davening? No. Is it learning? Not necessarily. Is it being together and sharing hearts? Yes. So is that davening? Yes. Is that learning? Also. This is the reframing of words that we just have to reframe these words and sharpen them a little bit better. Ve'im dibu kederech bnei adam poel yeshuot. If speaking, just normally like a person does big miracles in the world, כל שכן, כאשר אם יהודייה משוחחת עם השם יתברך ופונה עליו, ודאי שלכל מילה שהיא מוציאה מפיה, יש השפעה לטובה. He's saying if any word that any Yidla says and speaks about with Hashem-consciousness, does things in the world, everything we've learned until now about the Maila of a Jewish mother, of a Jewish woman, al achas kama vechama, how much more so? is the power of a word that comes out of your mouth. The word, just a pniya, Hashem. Just that Hashem. That one time, that Hashem. How much it could bring good down to the world. Ume'ata, bottom paragraph. כאשר אישה נושאת את עיניה כלפי מעלה בפשטוס ובתמימוס, when a woman turns her eyes up to Hashem, just like this, with utter simplicity, and with just utter tmimut, with no shtick, no ulterior motives, just because I know I only have you, משום שהיא מאמינה שרק השם יתברך יכול לעזרה, because she knows only Hashem can help her, וכמו שאנו אומרים בהושענוס, like we say on Hoshana Rabbah, בלתך אין להושיע הושענה, it's only you that can help any situation, please help us. ופונה היא אל השם יתברך בצעקה מתוך הלב פנימה, and she turns to Hashem with an inner heart scream, ומתחננת ואומרת לפניו, אבא, אבא, אני צריכה את עזרתך, I need your help. כי רק אתה יכול להושיעני, because only you can help me. ובלעדיך מי יושיעני? ובפרט אם היא מתפללת בבכי, and if tears come down, of course, even more. הרי שתפילתה מעוררת רחמים גדולים ותתקבל ברצון. That type of davening shakes the heavens and is accepted immediately. כמו שאמר הרב הקדוש מקוזמיר, okay, so the Rebbe of Kuzmir, his name was Rebbe Cheskel Chatzkel of Kuzmir, and he is the grandfather of the Modzitzer dynasty. And the dynasty of Modzitz, you've heard of Modzitz before, right? Has anyone ever not heard of Modzitz? You never heard of Modzitz? You've heard their nigunim, that's for sure. Modzitz have the best nigunim. Like, Havdalah that we do, that's a Modzitzer nigun. Or bum 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 bum. That's Modzitz. One more Modzitz. That's awesome. And many, many more. So they come from Reb Chaskel of Kuzmir. And he said like this, she'ofen tfilateinu tzich להיות בעיקר. The way we really have to daven should be like this. כתינוק קטן שאינו יכול לדבר כראוי. Like a kid that can't even speak properly. שכאשר הוא קורא אבא אבא, מיד מתעוררים רחמי האב. Immediately the compassion of a father comes down when all he does is hear, we're getting so excited that our Chava is 15 months old now? 16? That she's uttering a few words that sound like Abba. And wow. Or Mama, I think Mama, I was davening that Mama comes before. Abba, this time it was, by the other kids I think it did, but Abba somehow came out first. You hear that first Abba, right? What does it do? It's me'oire rachmim. Oh my gosh. It awakens such a compassion, such a ratzon. Wow, he's saying that's what davening is. We think we have to come to Hashem like a Talmid Chacham. We think we have to come to Hashem, that's someone that knows the pnimius of all of davening in order to be eligible for sitting at the table, sitting at the shtender, sitting at the shul, the siddur. Bichlal lo. הוא קורא אבא אבא מיד מתעוררים רחמי האב לעזור לו בכל הדברים. למנוע ממנו כל צער ולמלא את צרכיו. And a father wants at that moment when he hears Abba Abba to take away any pain and to fill all their needs. Let me ask you a basic question over here. Why is it that when we learn it like this, it makes sense to us, but b'shas ma'aseh, we don't buy this? How come we don't buy this b'shas ma'aseh, b'shat ma'aseh? Because what does our brain, what does the Yetzer Hara tell us before we start davening? Or if we're going to daven like this, what are some of the claims of the Yetzer Hara? You tell me.
It's not real tefillah.
One, it's not a real tefillah. What else? Think about this, because it happens all the time. What else is the Yetzer Hara? How is he getting in there? And what is the Yetzer Hara saying? Let's say you haven't davened in like 4 months or 5 years, okay? And then you have this ratzon to just say Abba Abba, or Mami Mami, or Mother Earth, like whatever you're, I have a lot of friends, they'd never say Abba. They would probably say Mother Earth before they'd say anything else, right? Or galaxy, or whatever it is. What universe, right? You know, for me, sometimes also, like, instead of saying, like, when I'm talking to Hashem, I'll just keep on saying, Master of every single thing that I know and don't know of, and that helps me more than just saying Hashem. Sometimes, whatever. What's the voice? What is that voice that sneaks in? What does it tell you?
You're not worthy.
Ah, that's for sure. Why aren't you worthy to daven like that? Because I haven't been davening. Yes, because I haven't been davening. And I went to Beis Yaakov, or I went to whatever school I went to growing up. I should know better. They already told me how to daven. They told me this.
Or I didn't.
What do you mean?
Didn't go.
Or you didn't. Okay, so in your situation, you didn't go. But what would prevent? Yeah, but you ever have it much. You have it so much better and easier. I think so. I don't know. What prevents you from thinking that you're not worthy of just calling out to Hashem in the middle of the day? Because I don't know anything. Because I didn't learn. So who am I to say I don't even know what this is about? Right? Because in order to call out to Hashem, first I have to know who God is. Because the Orthodox people know who God is. Right? They know who God is. Nachon. Yeah.
I had a Rebbe who said, we know that if our kids didn't call us for 4 months, and then they called us, we wouldn't care that we hadn't heard from them or that they didn't say the right thing. We'd just be so happy that they got on the phone.
Right.
Why would we think any less of our Father B'Shamayim? It really helped.
Because unfortunately, there are those people that had parents that if they didn't call for 4 months,
What do you want?
and then they'd call, they'd be like, why didn't you call for 4 months? That's what they hear. Right? You're right, both ways. You had your hand up, Elisa?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe this is just my like type A personality, but I think also with like formal tefillah, there's something you can check off, and it's like or it feels like there's something you can check off, right? You said the text, you said the thing, versus sometimes the informal tefillah to me almost feels like it's like a higher standard, and it's like I don't know if I did it or didn't do it.
Right, davening, I could say I did it.
Right.
Right. How much kavanah? I don't know.
Right.
Right.
But you did something like
Right.
concrete versus when you're speaking from the heart, it's not measurable, which I
It's,
think can make it
nachon,
better.
it's immeasurable, and therefore my brain that usually doesn't observe life through heart measurements has a hard time understanding, well, did anything even happen right now? So I'm not even, how could I know if I did it or not? Nachon. These are all things that prevent us from just going to this thing over here, but really for many people that grew up religious and grew up either like knowing what davening is or whatever it is, it's very, very hard to be able to believe that if life circumstances had led me to a place where I can't daven like I did when I was a teenager or in my early 20s, that this kind of simple turning to Hashem is considered davening. It's like, oh, the Rebbe's trying to make me feel good. Vort. Right? Oh, he's just, I have Rahmanis, so I'm getting a chizuk vort from a Rebbe. No, it's real.
I think also the Sephardi women, not all of them, but a lot of them, I'm confronted that with Sephardi women that don't go to synagogue, they don't pray from a siddur, but they're praying all the time to Hashem all through the day.
Mamish.
It's a different mindset that are. So I get this comment. Oh, you're Ashkenazi. You go to shul. And I say, are you supposed to go to shul? No, Sephardi women don't go to shul. They stay at home. And it was very hard for me to understand that mindset. But because they talk to Hashem all day long.
All day long. Yeah, many. Yes, it's true.
Put their hand on the mezuzah and start talking.
Start pouring, I know. It's like,
So which is better, What you're teaching us is that we can do both.
I will never answer that question. It's not a question I will ever answer. Like a lot of things in this year, I'm just sharing thoughts, but the answering of questions like that will not come. for me. Call Bina after shiur, maybe. I don't know. I would never do it. Okay. Now we go further in the Modzitzer. Kamula b'sefer HaKadosh Divrei Yisrael. Divrei Yisrael is the Rebbe Yisrael of Modzitzer. It's amazing how these things are popping up in Parshas Vayigash. Because all the deepest Torahs are in Parshas Mamish, Parshas Vayigash. Because the Divrei Yisrael in Parshas Vayigash has whatever. Maybe we'll get to it at the end if we have time. So he says like this: Mi shehu baal de'ah shlema. Whoever is the master of complete da'at. Now, can you explain what that is to me? Who is the master of de'ah shlema? Yachol yitpalel lefi da'ato bekavana shlema. They could daven with total kavana. Aval mi sheino beda'at hashalem, but whoever is not working with a full cup, ikar tefillah ketinok katan sheino yachol ledaber adayin shum dibur. Their ikar tefillah it's supposed to sound like a kid that can't utter words properly. Levad asher koreh Abba Abba, aside from saying Abba Abba. Umize levad nit'orer rachmanut gadol me'av libno kasher einenu re'ot. And he's saying that as we see, that brings about, like the grandfather said, as we see, this brings about so much compassion from a father to a son. Kmo chen ikar tefillah, so too the ikar of davening, מה שמזכירים שמו יתברך, העיקר שיהיה בבחינת תינוק שאינו יכול לדבר כלל, רק לקרות קול פשוט אבא אבא, ובזה בוודאי נתעורר רחמנותו הגדולה. I'm going to say it like this, חבר'ה. When you can barely find time to daven, for all the legitimate reasons of being a wife, a mother, whatever it is, but then when you turn to that moment and you say, Ribono shel olam, God, Master of the universe, whatever you use, okay? But I had a friend, I don't know why, but they called Hashem Cindy. I don't know, it was a code, I don't know what the Indian was, maybe it was, but Cindy, the word Cindy for this person was like only reserved, like if someone was called Cindy, they didn't call them Cindy. Cindy for them was just Hashem. I don't know why, right? But it doesn't matter, that's what I'm trying to get to. The word here is not that important. But the reference to Hashem, when you have that moment of saying, Abba, tell me something. How often does that same feeling happen to you when you say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu Elokei Aviseinu? You see? That's the point. That's exactly the point. Now, there are those that do have Abba Abba moments with every Baruch atah Hashem. Like the Amshinover Rebbe. All right? Like, I don't know. Who am I to say who? I've seen him say those words, so I with my own eyes, I've experienced it. I've experienced it, him saying the words Baruch atah Hashem. If you've ever seen the Amshinover Rebbe say those words, that's an Abba Abba man. It's every single time, and that's why his davening is always 18 hours, and he's because if Abba Abba was really part of every single Baruch atah Hashem, how could davening be as fast as it is? And we're the longest daily minyan. This shul is the longest daily minyan, and listen, who am I to say, Khalil, about anyone? What do I know about what people, the Abba Abba moments they have? I don't know. But this is what he's saying. This is the ikar tefillah, is Abba Abba. Mama, mama. That's the ikar tefillah. And how often does that happen when we're just sitting in shul, in davening? Have any of you ever gotten into Rav Aryeh Kaplan's works? So what's the Sefer Meditations? What's it called? Yeah, it's one of the ones where he gives an eitzah on the siddur. Rav Shlomo Katz told me this once. Elav Hashem. He said he tried it. I tried it also a few times, and it's. Check this out. Spend 7 seconds on every word in Shemona Esrei. Right? Just thinking about it. Right. 7 seconds. Huh?
It can be 7 seconds of paying attention to anything.
Right. It's not just ADD chevra that have a hard time. Anyone. 7 seconds. Now, the problem is that you get into, it starts to become to everywhere, you get let's go with that, okay? That it's very hard to go back to davening the same afterwards. And you feel like garbage when you go back to your regular holy davening. You really do.
Well,
But
Rav Daniel Katz says, just do the first parak. That's slow.
right.
And then
Yeah?
that's an eitzah. Then you can do much more
Very good.
kavanah, or the first parak of Shema, and then go the rest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you have to be realistic.
Because we're
about
not living, right? Because we're not, let's face it, we're not our, and it's not anything bad, but the lifestyle we live and the surroundings that we live in just don't really help us cultivate that type of metziut. It is what it is. But the point is, at least you have to have, if you're davening Shachris, Mincha, and Mariv, you better have one Abba Abba, Baruch Atah Hashem. So the Rebbe is saying, so a woman that doesn't have the opportunity, Shachris, Mincha, and Mariv, but they're Abba Abba, they have to really believe it. That is shaking the heavens and the earth. That's davening. That's the Ikar Tefillah. Haresh bizmanenu. So basically, Dea Shlema means I really am able to set the whole thing straight. My mind is settled. I'm calm. I'm focused. Everything is there. He says, "Bizmanenu she'ein anachnu ba'alei Dea Shlema." We're not Dea Shlema Yidden. Ikar ofen hatfila haretzuya hi kshemitchanenim lifnei Hashem yitbarach kmo tinok katan shekore Abba Abba v'tzoakim Abba Abba rachem alai v'ta'azor li. One time I saw I was around a very, it was a kid that was off, what the world calls off the derech, and he was in deep, deep trouble, okay, deep trouble. And he came to speak to me and another few friends, and he started crying, and he said, Abba, trachem alai. And one of the guys says, מה אתה חושב, Abba, עכשיו יעזור לך? לא באת לתפילה, לא היית פה שנה שלמה. Right? And the person that said that really believed in what he said, right? Abba, Abba, right? Now I'm not comparing this to, you see sometimes these avaryanim, these criminals, they're like real criminals, that when they get arrested after doing crazy stuff for a long time, suddenly they always show up with a nice big white silky yarmulke into court. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Abba, Abba. No matter when, no matter what is going on. A real Abba, Abba. How can anyone say, well, you haven't been here, right? So amazing. We hear a story like that, and what do we think about the guy that told the Nebuch guy, where have you been? And now you're saying Abba, Abba? What do we think about that person? Bemet. What do we think about that person? I wouldn't want him to date my daughter, right? Right. But those thoughts live rent-free in our brains all the time. All the time. Where have you been? Now you're going to be such a tzaddikus? You're going to start saying Abba, Abba? Where's your chavrusa? When was the last time you opened up a tehillim when you're late at night next to your bed? Those thoughts are there all the time. But when we see it as a story that happens to someone else, it's so easy for us to call it out and say, wow, how sad. So it's a big fisfus, we're missing something very, very big. And here we're trying to shech this, like mamash, to get rid of that voice. Godel atmimut, one more piece over here. Uche'ein ze matzinu b'midrash agada. We find something like this in the Midrash. Shegazar Rebbe ta'anit she'edu gshamim. Rebbe Yehuda Nasi, he decreed that there should be a fast, so that in order that rain should come down. Because the rain wasn't happening. Ve'amda zkena achat v'asta la kirayim. So you know what kirayim is over here in this context? What kirayim usually means, did any of you ever use that word? Stovetop or a burner, right? Not kra'ayim, like chicken, but kirayim, right? So here, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not sure what reference it is over here. It could be that it means the same thing. We'll see in a second. Ve'helta otan lerosh gag leyabshan, and she brought it to the roof in order to dry it. Ve'ayu hakol matrin mitpalin she'edu gshamim, while everyone around her was davening and saying, please let there be rain, we're fasting. Ve'ota skena mitpalelet, and this old woman that's bringing up something needs to be dried, she says, no, sheyeh chorev, it should still be dry. No rain yet, I need to dry my thing. Ve'omeret, al tishma lahen, she's saying to Hashem, don't listen to them, ad shetiyabesh li et hakirayim sheli. Ve'shama la HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mipnei she'epila bakasha. Now, and Hashem listened to her, why? Because she just brought it out. She brought out an Abba Abba moment of believing that that's what needs to happen right now. And it happened. This pure davening of this old woman, שביקשה לפני השם יתברך לעכב את הגשמים עד שיתייבשו הכיריים שלה, הועילה יותר מתפילת כל הקהל שהיו מתענים בעבור הגשמים בגזירתו של רבינו הקדוש. Because this request from Hashem to avoid the rain from coming down until what she needs to be dry should be dry, did more in Shamayim than all the people that were fasting and having a lot of Baruch Atah Hashem's moments following a gzeira of Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Velozo bilvad, this is very out there, כי אפילו הכהן הגדול ביום הכיפורים, בהיותו לפני ולפנים בקודש הקודשים, what did the Kohen HaGadol daven for when he was in the Holy of Holies? So we know this because we say it in the Tfilat Musaf of Yom HaKippurim, in the Chelek of the Avoda of the Kohen. He would say, שלא יקבל השם תפילתם של כל עוברי דרכים המתפללים שלא ידעו גשמים. That Hashem don't receive the davening of those that are עוברי דרכים, that are just passing by, trying to get back home, that are davening that rain shouldn't come down, כי תפילה פשוטה ותמימה חביבה היא לפני השם יתברך יותר מכל. Because really, the most important thing is a moment of turning to you and saying, Hashem, right now I need you. That's it. Right now I need you. There's nothing more holier than that. There's nothing more precious than that. So, in this room, I know there are mothers of little children, and it's also mothers of older children. And everyone has pekalach to deal with. Everyone has things to deal with. A man has the chiyuv of making sure he's a Baruch Atah Hashem Yid with hopes and dreams that there's Abba Abba moments along the way. Women that don't have that same chiyuv does not mean that their connection to tefillah is chas v'shalom weaker, hafuch legamre, completely on the contrary. And again, what we're trying to do in the shiur from day one is not to empower women, and it's not to show that really we all are equal when it comes to halachic obligations, because we're not. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. But it's to point out moments when it comes to tefillah that should not be overlooked for 1 second. And it's to call out the voices of the Yetzer Hara that come and demand of us to be more authentic and holy all the time, so that when I have these frum attacks, I can feel okay. That's pashut the Yetzer Hara. It's just not true. It's just not true. Some of us have the inyan of it was ingrained with us from the time we were kids going to Hebrew school or to yeshivas. Some of us, it comes from a place of, I'm not on the level, I don't know anything. Whatever it is, the moment that there is a cheshek to call out to Hashem, for whatever reason it is, he's saying here, that's ikar tefillah. That's what davening really is about. And alavai, that should also show up back in our siddur, back in our regular davening, back to the schedule, back to the programming. If we could bring that into that, we'd be much, much better off. Much, much better off. Yeah.
Yeah, can I just make a comment on this?
Yeah.
About the older lady with her whatever she was putting on the roof.
Sure.
So another way to look at it is that she had such bitachon in Hashem that she's like, if it's not gonna when I bring my stuff in, then make it rain. So she was really davening for rain also.
Yafa. Meaning.
So she realized if the whole kala isn't gonna work, I'll do my own little thing. Either let it rain or whatever I'm doing, or when I bring it back in, Hashem, I recognize you, that you're in control of that.
That's a beautiful.
So it's.
None of the chevra that were fasting would agree with you if right, because they want it now. But it's true. Yes.
So I just thought that was an interesting way.
Yes.
Your whole shiur of like what one person can do.
Bezrat Hashem, we should actually believe in what we just learned. All right, have a good day, everyone, and good Shabbos, Bezrat Hashem.